Greetings, family.
Yeah.
Peace to the gods, peace to the goddesses. Welcome to episode 6 of Wo.Ke Podcast. I have a special guest with me today. My brother from another mother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have Myles Okumu himself. Karibu sana.
Thank you, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. So before we get started, as you know, we are an independent channel, and so we'd appreciate your contributions through M-Pesa, through PayPal.
Yeah.
I will drop the links in the description. Any amount that you can will go a long way to making sure, to make sure we bring you more highly vibrational conversations. Right. Yeah. So Myles, maybe you can tell us one or two about yourself, especially in relation to spirituality.
I'm Myles Okumu. I'm Odanga's brother. We grew up together. And I embrace my spirituality selectively extroverted, but mostly introverted. But I like expressing my opinions along the topics of risk literacy and psychology, and also a bit of finance, and also engineering, the field I'm currently working also. Yeah, and I'm a free thinker also. I love listening to other people's views. Yeah, that's the way to go. So today I came to the podcast to see my friend Danga project. Yeah, and let's kick it.
Awesome. So yeah, I love the fact that you being an engineer, and then you relate that with your spirituality. So that means you have a very scientific view of the world, you know. You see the world through the lens of science. At the same time, you realize that spirituality transcends science.
Yeah, in many ways.
Exactly. Science is seen spirituality, and spirituality is unseen science.
Yeah.
So you're able to transform scientific knowledge and view it from a spiritual perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that's very valuable for us in the spiritual community.
Yeah. Most probably I frame my opinions not along mostly science, but science is one of where I major on, but I mostly try to. There's a concept which I got from Mastery. It's a book from Robert Greene.
Yeah.
There is the last chapter. It was talking about like be a universal man or woman. Now there he was saying like you try to synthesize all forms of knowledge you can. You connect them. You find the sense in them.
Yeah.
And use it together. And that's what I mostly do. I search for different kinds of knowledge where I don't know. I accept that I don't know.
Yeah.
That's also part of being me.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mostly stay in my circle of competence, but I don't let it also limit me.
Yeah.
Like, I can also learn new things.
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't just have that tendency to try to. Yeah.
Ashe to that. And so we are living in exciting times. Technology is moving at neck-breaking speeds, you know.
Yeah.
Every day you wake up, they have created something phenomenal with regards to AI, you know, with regards to even the social media we are using. It's advancing quite fast, and it's important for spiritual people to stay grounded. You know, you have to see through the illusion. As much as every day they'll come up with a new invention, you have to realize the highest technology is you.
Yeah, it's consciousness actually. Everything came from consciousness. Yeah, that's the source of the universe actually.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we are just the universe experiencing ourselves through me or Danga, and through you, the viewers. Yeah.
Right.
So every day is a gift, no matter how you feel. It's just the ups and downs in life. As long as you just understand like your end goal.
Yeah.
As long as you have the last laugh, that's it. That's where I normally like. It's like a grand strategy. Like you're not involved in the everyday battles of determining this and that because they will overwhelm you. Yeah. Compare the concepts of a thermometer and a thermostat. A thermometer, it responds to the environment. Temperature changes, it moves. But for the thermostat, it changes the environment, as in it regulates what happens in it, as in what's outside doesn't affect it. It regulates the temperature. Like thermostats are used in these ACs now. Now when it's hot outside, you can put on an AC. AC now utilizes the thermostat. Now thermostat changes the temperature for themselves. They don't respond to the outside conditions. So
and, and like how the AC, since it uses the thermostat, by regulating itself, it can regulate the room where it's in.
The room where it's in. So mostly we want to lean on the thermostat side and the thermometer. Yes, like when you see right now, like the economic recession, the war everywhere, like these attacks happening in the country. It's as in they'll all happen, even there are even more to come than them. So you should find your center. That your center, you can find it inside you. Because the world inside is actually bigger than the world outside. Actually.
Very true.
Because the outside is a reflection of what's inside you.
I like that analogy for the AC, for the thermostat. We have to create our own reality by stepping into our power and realize that consciousness changes everything. So once you have a higher consciousness, you change your immediate surrounding, you affect those around you, and by that ripple effect, you affect the entire world. Right?
Become like a force of nature.
Exactly. And consciousness is the highest technology, and the physical manifestation, for me personally, the melanated body is the physical manifestation of this consciousness. Like the highest technology in the physical realm is the melanated body, from my point of view, because the melanin in our skin, the melanin in our hair, the melanin in our nervous system makes us unique as a people. We are able to tune into higher spiritual realities. We are able to move with rhythm more than anyone else in the world. And the fact that we are the blueprint for all other human races makes us the original people. So that consciousness that you are the blueprint, you have the highest technology, it starts with that, and then, that way we can elevate our vibration collectively. Right. So let's get into spiritual warfare. I had a conversation with my neighbor. She was asking me, what does it mean that we're in a spiritual war? What can we do to fight this battle? How do you know the things being used to fight against us? And once, like, when you start having the spiritual awakening, is when you realize that there is a battle being waged against us, and it's in all facets of society. It's the matrix as it is. It affects our education, because in school we are taught to become obedient workers for the system. Work, give your energy to the system, you get the reward of money. So that has to change. We have to be getting services for things that elevate us collectively. We have to be getting compensated for doing things that elevate us collectively, rather than just working a job for the system without it having any value in your life or in the lives of others. We have the war in our food. Our food has been weaponized against us. whether it's the GMO foods, whether it's the fact that the meat in our slaughterhouses is being injected with chemicals, you know. We have this war in the pharmaceutical drugs. In the media is one of their biggest weapons, because the media, you know, decides who's the hero and who's the villain. So we need to like withdraw energy from the media. And religion is another avenue to which we are fighting this war, because religion keeps us in a loop, keeps us you know, we have to obey certain dogmas that have been passed down through religion, whereas spirituality is you going inward and discovering the self. So what's your take on the spiritual war, bro?
Yeah, my take is that it's happening on a lot of levels. Especially, you see, for media, I read the works of great cognitive psychologists, and they talk about how like there's something known as frame of reference. Yeah, like for example, as in when you look at a picture hanging on the wall, as in the frame is what it defines a part of it, because it shows the boundary where the drawing is up. So framing is just actually like how the statement is put out. So the media is normally weaponizing that. So that for example, if there is inflation, if there is wars, they normally like incline to a certain side to make like people feel it's like, you know, it's broadcasting. It's like now they are casting spells to a large audience. So they're using words in a certain specific way, so
to polarize people.
To polarize people. There's also because they are also being funded to do that. They're negatively incentivized.
Right.
So you see, like for example, see like what happened during the 9/11 crash. Now I'd followed the investigations along, like how people had framed that. You know, like in the resulting years, people are framing like aeroplanes. There's a higher risk of dying than even using the car. So people are even driving carelessly because they're saying, I can't use an airplane because what happened in 9/11, the plane crashed and all that, and all that smoke screen. So as in people came to the road and said, people are mostly using now the road network as the means of transport, because they already formed as in what already happened. It's known as availability heuristic, I think. The recency, you know, I'm not sure if it's also the recency bias, because you're hailing that reason because it's what has just happened recently. It's affecting now your judgment. You see that. But in the real sense, actually, traveling with the air, it was even more safer than
any other form of
transport. So it's just frame of reference. The media knows how to twist the frames of reference along some certain lines. But if you really look at it, it's not that logical.
Right. Very sentimental. You know, they'll get you hating your brother for no reason whatsoever. Like, you'll just find yourself hating a certain people just because of a narrative that has been spread about them.
By the media. That's very true.
And even, I'm sure most of these conflicts that are happening today, the media has a huge role to play in them by saying a certain story about a certain people, and then they're told who the enemy is and what the enemy has done. But you find in most cases on the ground, the average person, you know, has no ill intent against their neighbor until a certain propaganda has been told about them.
Yeah, because also you see in statistics we also learn on correlation is not causation. So for example, there is this concept which was studied by Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky. It's known as the Linda's problem, but I don't know the whole of it. It says like Linda is a bank. He's a what? He's a bank teller and also in the feminist movement, something of the sort. No, Linda is active in the feminist movement. Now it was like activist, feminist activist movement, something. Now they had some choices. Now the choices was one option, she was a banker, bank teller actually. The other one was a nurse. It was just a couple of options.
Yeah.
Now the catch of that question, it was like it's like a lot of people didn't actually get it right. It was a bank teller, but a lot of people connected it to. There was the answer which was very much connected. It had a conjunction in between. He had connected the bank teller and active in the feminist movement. Now a lot of people fall for that trap, as in they joined that those two statements were like almost the premise and the conclusion of a statement. They were almost telling the same messages.
Yeah.
But now, it broke a fundamental law in probability. It's known as the conjunctive law. For example, they say like the probability of an event, like if it's A or B happening independently, is more than if A and B are together.
Yeah, I remember even in high school math, the probability of A or B was higher than A and B.
Yeah.
Generally speaking.
Yeah. For A individually.
Yeah.
So mostly in, like for example, if you go to the casino, the roulette wheel, we fall for this what known as the gambler's fallacy, where we, for example, I can explain it in a simple case whereby let's say you're flipping a coin and you've gotten like 4 heads in a row. Now, like you for example, the fifth one, what will you be expecting?
Well, I would expect a heads.
Then you know what I'm talking about. You see, like, okay, most people expect a tail because they believe like they have this conception that because I've gotten many heads, from the trials I can't get another head, so it should balance out. But the laws of nature don't work like that. As in, it can even go like infinite heads because the probability is just 50-50. 50 heads, 50 tails. So that's an example of the gambler's fallacy. So in like a roulette wheel, you can place, I don't know, you normally press a ball, then you're betting on the colors, either red, black or green. Now for example, you can bet on red and get a red, then the next one you expect at your black, thinking that they alternate, but it's an independent event. It's not affected by something which happened previously. They are two different things.
I hear you.
Yeah, so that's how these see events like that, they mostly like produce as in that's irrationality, which is not actually that bad, but you should be at least aware of the biases you make so that you can improve as a person.
I hear you.
Yeah, because the casinos, also insurance, they take advantages of that because they know most people don't understand what's happening.
Very true.
And they use it for their advantages.
I mean, lots of these things, they use highly skilled mathematicians to model the probabilities of certain events. Because even in the insurance industry, they have those guys who've studied actuarial science, and they calculate the risks of certain accidents, the risk of a certain client, what's the probability they'll get into an accident and force us to pay them the money. Because the insurance wants to make sure you don't get into an accident or whatever, because that way your premiums go to them and they don't pay back, and that's how they stay profitable, by lowering risk as much as possible. So once we realize that we are in a war, the next question becomes, how do you fight this war?
That becomes now the second part. Okay, for insurance, medical, okay, there, I can say, can you imagine of like 3 circles? Then one is on risk. The other one is things like casino and gambling. Then the next one is, it has talks, it has romance, it has healthcare, it has business in it. So people usually mistake these events. For example, for gambling and casino, people mistake them for certainty. That they are certain. That if you do this, invest this amount, you can get this. If I think if I'm doing poker, maybe I have a hand, I have an advantage, maybe expecting this suit, this spades. It entails risk actually. Because it's the cards are like 52 in a deck. You have like 52 cards, so it can be any one of them. So you can use some mechanisms. Actually, there is this combinations and permutations. You can use some of those strategies to play those card games. That's why in casinos there are normally some mathematicians who can play along there. Because they can easily crack through the game. Now when you move to this other side, now for casinos, gambling, and this sports betting, people mistake them for, as soon as there is zero risk illusion, people think that there is zero risk or illusory what? People view them as zero risk illusion. People view them as very certain. So that if in finance there is a concept being studied known as the capital market line, where they say like it's a straight line. The amount which you invest, the more you invest, the more you'll get maximum returns. But when you come to reality, it's not that linear the way it normally says. Now in gambling, people normally have that mentality, like if I gamble with a lot, I'll get more a lot, but it doesn't work like that. And you see such cognitive weaknesses manifest because we confuse also propensity with probability. For example, for propensity, you can say like it will rain today, it might rain today, or it might not. But when you come to the realm of probability, you're actually talking about the likelihood of if it will rain. You've already quantified it, as in there are these chances it will rain
based on certain conditions.
As compared to this. Now for the stocks, romance, healthcare, businesses, and all the startups. Now there it entails uncertainty. Also there's some risk part of it. Now people perceive them as being risky. People mistake them for risk, and it's known as the turkey illusion. For example, that turkey illusion goes like this: you're a farmer, and you have turkeys, you also have the other animals and maybe some plants. So each day you feed the turkeys, but the turkeys never know the day which it will be slaughtered. which it will be slaughtered. So you continue feeding them till the 100th day.
Yeah.
You actually slaughter the turkey. Now the catch is like, what, as in, if the turkey could know it could be slaughtered, what could it have done to minimize the chances of death?
Yeah.
So you see, in this other side of stocks, stock market, financial markets, capital markets, romance, businesses, healthcare, it's now the turkey illusion part where we have we think we're dealing with risks and instead we're dealing with uncertainty.
Okay.
Yeah, and when you're dealing with uncertainty, no matter how the complex models you can use, whether mathematical, also AI, as in there's some part of it which is unknown.
Yeah.
It's not figured. The models, they're good. They can work only in an environment where the risk is known.
Right.
It can be calculated easily.
Yeah. Deterministic.
Kind
of world.
Deterministic kind of world. But this one of ours, it's not that.
It's undeterministic.
Yeah, it's messy.
Yeah. So the future can always, surprise you.
Yeah.
As much as you can have models, advanced models, indeed. But you never know for sure. There's always that uncertainty.
Yeah, uncertainty is always present.
Yeah. So with regards to the conversation of spiritual war, how to fight this war, I would say raising your vibration as high as possible is the number one weapon that you have as a spiritual person, because once you're in a high vibration, lower energies like fear, fear is a very magnetic vibration.
Yeah.
Once you're in that fear, you attract things that feed on that fear. It will like feed on itself and grow until it can even paralyze you. You can't do anything because you're afraid. So by you raising your vibration to the level of love, to the level of gratitude, peace, reciprocity, living by the rules of my art, all of these things ensure that you're in the highest vibration that you can
as possible,
and no weapon like it's in the Bible, no weapon formed against you shall prosper, because it can't get to you. You know. So for me personally, I do activities like yoga, like meditation, exercise, eating clean. All of this keep my vessel, in the highest vibration and connect me with my higher self. Once you're in tune with your higher self, you're in tune with God, and that's already a threat to the system. That's already you winning the war for our people, for yourself. And now as a collective, once we raise the vibration, we are able to completely obliterate the system.
That's how they thrive on. They feed on your fears, and mostly also experts have also been surveyed on some of these tests, and also they are susceptible to make such mistake. Like for example, can I ask you a simple question? Like, do you know the reason why we study statistics? Like, I feel like that. Like, why do we study?
Why you study statistics? Well, numbers don't lie.
Okay, it's not along that line, but it's because of we study it because there is variability. Things are always changing, and for us to be able to keep up with that rate of change, we require statistics to actually know how these variables work and this and all that. Because if things were the same, it could have been very predictable. If like me and you and everyone else pick the same courses and there was no difference, then you could know everything for sure, simply like how everything will happen, this and that. But because our world is not like that, that's how we use it. Like for example, there is normally positive and negative error cultures. mostly I'm speaking on mental models. You know, ever heard of mental models?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just the different lenses in which you see the world. Now, positive and negative era cultures, you can find, for example, a positive era culture is the one which is an innovation culture which accepts its mistakes and proceeds with it. Like, for example, if you look at the aeroplane industry, I mean the pilots, how they normally fly the planes, they normally have a checklist.
Yeah.
And in that checklist, they keep things to ensure, like, they reduce the error rate from them making a mistake.
Yeah.
Like from past experiences, then errors which have been happening with them on the aeroplanes, they've noted them. Now, after noting it, now when he's about to take the flight, he checks on them. He ticks on them after doing that activity, he ticks, and it ensures that, or it limits those errors. Yeah. Now you see, in the medical industry, I know you've ever heard of these instances whereby someone was being operated, some surgery, then they left some equipment inside the person, and maybe it led to some hemorrhaging. Yeah.
There are even cases where someone is supposed to have a heart surgery and they open up your skull.
Yeah.
Or even they remove the wrong organ.
Yeah.
And this happens even a lot here in Kenya, and it shows the negligence.
Yeah, the
professional negligence that's there.
Yeah, and mostly you see as in, and what makes us trust them so much, because it's connected to our health. We fail to ask some serious questions which in later come and affect us.
Exactly.
In a very bad way. So I was comparing, I was reading on how these cancer treatments are done, and how actually doctors come to their judgment. You know, like when they're studying in the universities, they cram a lot of facts.
Yeah.
For example, there was even an example in the book which I was reading on risk survey, on how to make good decisions. They were saying, like, comparing a biologist to a medical doctor.
Yeah.
Now they are being asked, both of them, to just some fable there, like they are being asked, like, if you are to, I want both of you, the biologist and the medical, the person who's taking the medical course, medicine, like, I want you to like memorize the whole of this book.
Yeah.
Then the biologist asks the simple question, why? Then the medical student asks by when. Yeah, so mostly they are being taught to cram a lot of these facts, while they neglect statistics and psychology.
But even experimental science.
Yeah, and in their field they really require them. Now see, nowadays what happens is, as in, doctors are not really interested in that treating part of it. As in, they mostly lead you to a sell point. Yeah, where you just buy this and this medicine.
Yeah, and then you fall sick again and come back. A patient cured is a customer lost. Yeah, is a customer lost. Now we don't, as in, we rarely ask these questions like such a long as they. Like, you see, for example, these pharmaceutical companies, some drugs never come that successful when they're testing them. You find, like, it has a 2 people out of 10 chance of maybe curing a certain illness. So you see, as in, a drug like that still requires more trials. Yeah, for sure.
It require more information about it, and so you see, find like such kinds of drugs which have not passed. So what they normally do to the medical industry, the doctors now, there's something else, higher medical education. Though I'm not sure if it's in Kenya, but in US it's there. And that higher medical education, these pharmaceutical companies, they they spend on, they incentivize the doctors, they take them to these vacations, on these big hotels, saying that they have these conferences on higher medical education. They're just being told about those medicine on which to sell. So it's actually them working together with the pharmaceutical companies to ensure these drugs are sold.
Exactly. And for the pharmaceutical companies, they are very manipulative, very mischievous, because when they put out a drug in the market, almost all the drugs coming from big pharma have side effects. So after a certain period, when a drug is out there, people start suing them that the drug gave them certain side effects. But by the time that lawsuit has been successfully won, they have already made billions of that drug.
Yeah.
So once the lawsuit has won, they will withdraw that drug from the market, introduce another drug, and then the side effects will show. They are sued, it will be removed, but it's very strategic. Before the drug is removed, they've already made their billions, and then they release another drug and another one. So it's a very, sort of mischievous or manipulative mind game that they play on us, the consumers. And so the solution to the health problem is, one, to eat as clean as possible, and two, utilize the herbs. There are various herbs for various illnesses. And this is where I resonate with Dr. Sebi so much, because he didn't pass through the medical system. Matter of fact, he didn't pass through the school system, period. I don't think he went to elementary school even.
I didn't.
Yeah, his parents were like, you're special. You learn from nature. So by him going back to nature, he was able to rediscover how the African lived before colonization, which foods are alkaline, which herbs give you certain benefits. And plants do talk.
Yeah.
So these herbalists, when they go foraging, the plants will tell them, I am supposed to heal this and this and this. And they take that information and bring it to us. There's a certain brother in the US called George Washington Carver. So him, he was the plant whisperer. He could literally speak to plants. And for the peanut plant, he was able to speak to the peanut plant, and he found hundreds of uses for this plant just by talking to it. And then George Washington Carver introduced the idea of the assembly line to Henry Ford. And that's how we have now, the assembly line in almost every factory, every industry.
Yeah, so I was talking, you see the medical parts, the medical industry. Now, for them, ignoring this, the knowledge of probability, statistics, it affects their judgment a lot in how they tell us. Because you find the research papers of those drugs, some of them you find they are hidden, they're not actually released to the public due to maybe other reasons, maybe not being that successful. So the doctor just interprets the method as also like the drug is working because they've already been incentivized, bringing a conflict of interests. And there's also something known as defensive decision making also involved. Defensive decision making is whereby you, as in, let's say for example you're a nurse or a doctor, you're being told like you must follow this and this procedure because the boss has said so. So for example, even if you know the right thing to do, you can leave the right thing to do and do what has been said for management due to conflicts of interest. Now you see like there's a lot of defensive decision making involved, and also doctors they mostly tend to protect themselves because they also think you can sue them, and for them being sued also they can be caught, their practices, they can be charged with malpractices and all that. For example, there was this example, there's this psychologist, Gerd Gigerenzer, who wrote that book which I was reading on risk survey. Her daughter had a problem with the teeth. Now he took her to some certain clinic there for a dentist. Now the dentist said if they can speak to the doctor. Now the doctor said she needs an X-ray. But the psychologist came and reasoned with the doctor like, hey, but she's still small, as in the rays aren't that safe. Why is it a must that she should be using the X-ray? The doctor just kept insisting she should be X-rayed without giving no valid reasons.
Yeah.
Then some other time, the doctor actually revealed that due to, as in how the law actually requires them to act.
Yeah.
It requires them to like, as in use certain procedures such as X-rays, no matter. And as the law requires them to do that, as in now it will be forcing them to act in a certain manner.
They are not able to act outside of the box.
Of the
box of the medical library they have memorized.
Yeah, definitely.
So once they're in that box, they have to follow the rules of that box.
Yeah, because they don't fear. They're also fearing they can be sued anytime and what. And part of that is just due to lacking the appropriate skills to judge those situations.
Yeah.
Like also what I was seeing in the cancer side, where especially these two, breast cancer and prostate cancer. Now you find after being scanned from the mammograph for the ladies and the breast, for the breast cancer cases, the machine normally sometimes gives a likelihood of having cancer rather than you have cancer. Yes, like for example, most in like 3 in 10 chances, the machine can be, or in that mammograph, it's a machine which scans for the cancer. It can be right like people have cancer, but not like an extreme cases like 9 out of 10. So you find most cases, the doctors do a misdiagnosis due to them not having that ability to properly judge that situation.
Yes.
Now you end up being medicated and you don't have the disease.
Yeah. You end up getting chemo.
Yeah.
Chemo destroys both the good cells and the bad cells. You become a walking zombie.
Definitely. And you know the nocebo effect now. Yeah, the nocebo, the placebo now. When you have a headache, then you believe the Panadol will cure you.
Yeah.
Now the nocebo is the reverse. Now whether you believe that cancer is killing you, now it even manifests even more.
Ooh, that's deep.
You see most cases you find the machine leaking those rays are the ones which even cause more cancer.
Yeah,
most of them is just misdiagnosis cases.
True. And speaking of prostate cancer and breast cancer, I attended a workshop a few weeks ago. And in this workshop, the brother shed light on what is causing the high incidences of prostate cancer, of fibroids, of breast cancer. And one of the culprits happens to be tissue paper.
Crazy.
Tissue paper, man, something that looks so innocent, so clean, so pure. Because what happens with tissue paper is that they take garbage paper and they take it through a treatment process. And part of that treatment process is the bleaching of this paper. One of the byproducts of this bleaching happens to be a toxic chemical called dioxin. Now, this dioxin is in the fiber of the tissue paper. So when you wipe your ass with this tissue paper, the anal hole is a very moist area, so it absorbs things quite easily. So now the dioxin is able to jump from the tissue paper into your system. The prostate gland for men is very close to the anus. So when you wipe yourself with this and the dioxin gets into the prostate, eventually, after years and years of being used, it can manifest as prostate cancer due to this chemical. For the ladies, same thing. The sanitary pads, they also have the so-called super-absorbent polymers, and these probably also have dioxin and other chemicals. So when you're using these pads, the chemicals get into your reproductive system, manifesting as fibroids later on in life. And then for breast cancer, even the bras that that we have been programmed to wear. Bras are now considered decent and ladylike, but the bras constrict, like squeeze the breast too much against your lymph nodes, and this later on, due to this discomfort against the lymph nodes, against the internal organs, these are some of the things that may lead to breast cancer. And so this is a prime example of the war being waged against us, using things that since birth we've known. This is the way to like clean ourselves after going to the toilet. It happens if you can get access to a bidet. So a bidet is like a shower head that is connected to your toilet. So once you're done with your business, you can use the bidet to rinse your ass, and this is much cleaner than, say, using tissue paper. Instead of sanitary pads, they are reusable pads that can be used. So being conscious of how these things affect our systems long term is very important.
Yeah, it can help us. Because most of these companies actually use toxic chemicals, and mostly they lobby the government a lot, so they're not that regulated. Even with these bodies such as KED, they just say this and this is happening, but they don't do actually more on it, like stop the companies from producing. It's still going on.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you find on the risk part of it, there's also this book written by Darrell Huff. It was How to Lie with Statistics. He was saying like statistical thinking will be one of the required skills in this 21st century. It will be as essential as reading and writing. Because reading through an article, especially on numerical judgments, like how things happen, it can give you a clear view on what's happening, and even help you like recognize like if they've undersampled that what they're saying, they've maybe a less sample to like jump to conclusion this and this is happening and it's not the actual thing happening. You can make those judgments easily. Also, like for example the health they are asking, like for example if a doctor like gives you a certain treatment, for example you can ask the doctor like, if I was your relative or I was your son, or I was your sister, if you could have recommended what you have told me. It can really change their perspective, because they'll think a lot on what to tell you, what's best for you.
So let's talk a bit about neuroscience and AI, because on the one hand AI is advancing. In the tech industry they are talking about artificial general intelligence being near at hand. So the thing with the artificial general intelligence, it will happen like a singularity. It's the point where the AI will have surpassed human intelligence. Like it will be able to do most tasks better than the human being. And one of the things that we've discussed before is the fact that we don't yet fully understand how our brain works to begin with. So the fact that we don't understand our own intelligence makes it quite difficult for us to model something based on the human brain. But at the same time, you see how our intelligence it's an emergent behavior. Like the neurons are wired together in complex ways, and out of these interconnections and brain chemistry, human intelligence emerges. So the same thing is happening with AI. Like as they train the large language models to perform specific tasks, you find that these LLMs, large language models, are forming emergent behavior. Like they are making sentences that they are not trained to do. they are starting to understand nuances in human speech. And so this, in my opinion, is a very interesting trend. It shows that it will reach a point where the AI will be able to teach itself, to teach other AI, to evolve its intelligence as we evolve. So, and then there is Neuralink happening. I think Neuralink has already started human trials. With Neuralink, they are implanting a chip into the human brain. So it will be like a brain-computer interface.
BCIs.
Yeah. And people will be interacting without the need of a phone. You're just telepathically communicating through the Neuralink. But then it sounds good in theory.
Yeah.
It sounds good in theory.
Self-speech.
Yeah, but the fact that this is a computer that's been programmed, it also exposes you to biohacking. So people can infringe your mind and take information or prompt you to act in certain ways. Meaning we have to proceed with caution before we start injecting ourselves with chips in our body.
Yeah, actually, there's some article which I was reading last year, though I can't remember the source very well, but it was talking on cognitive liberty. It featured a certain professor, a female, I've forgotten her, but she's specialized in the cognitive sciences.
Yeah.
Now they are on this Bluetooth, this pause that you normally have, this part. Yeah, now they are saying as in there's a piece of data they collect, I don't know, from the brain, but not all of it, but there's some data which is involved.
Using the earbuds.
Yeah, the part, there's some data which they collect. Yeah, and so now she was saying that we require that cognitive liberty, as in this data we should know which, as in what are we sharing with these companies, what do they want, because that's a lot of data. Now you can imagine when a chip is plugged inside, it can even mess you up, and I don't think they've really, I can't say they've really mastered the human brain, like to do such kinds of processes, to just inject the chip.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a very risky procedure to do for your long-term health.
Yeah.
Also, it ushers in the age of transhumanism.
Yeah.
You know, the man and AI fusing together to form this cyborg, this human artificial. But we have to go back to the original technology, the consciousness, whereby by developing our organic intelligence, we ascend to certain frequencies where even the AI cannot match. And this is the beauty of the human being. We have spirituality. We have the spirit that animates this flesh.
Yeah.
And that one is infinite intelligence. You know, you can access the Akashic records, all the body of knowledge that has ever existed, will ever exist in the Akasha. You have access to that, you download it, you like project it into the world. So for us, it's more important to develop our intelligence, our spirituality, rather than being excited about this unknown technology.
Yeah. Even there's an example of scientists who actually tapped into the Akashic field. Like for example, Nikola Tesla, and also for Nani Einstein, when he even quoted like I think then an answer appears from nowhere. That was just referring to the Akashic field, but as at that time maybe didn't have the appropriate name to define it.
It definitely, like everyone has access to the Akashic records.
Field,
Even what we are talking right now is from the Akashic records, everything. And sometimes you find scientists when they go to sleep and they dream of solutions to problems. Nikola Tesla used to have visions of the electrical like appliances, like he will see a transformer in his dream with all the parts fitting in together exactly as they should. And when he would wake up, he would just implement what he had seen in the dream. And this shows you that he tapped into the magic of the universe. Into, like he used to say, we need to understand the magic of 369. So he tapped into that magic and brought us so many inventions.
Yeah, on that, especially there's been a lot of innovations going in the field of AI.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, as in it's not that sustainable, because also from what I see, it should be heading next to. We should be investing as in more sustainable models, because like this one, like the Gemini, which was just released recently, they've not released the data set which was used on it, and also how much it costs to train it, like the energy of it, because they normally train a lot on lots of GPUs.
This
and they use a lot of energy.
These AIs, the likes of Gemini, ChatGPT, but they are consuming huge amounts of electricity, bro.
Yeah.
Because those are supercomputers working 24/7, and the sustainability, like you said, how sustainable is it for the environment? Obviously, the data set being used is the internet library. Like all the publicly available data on the internet is being used to train the AI. This includes your profile picture, your posts on Instagram, maybe even our chats are being used to train the AI. So yeah, just know whatever you post online is potential to being a data set for the artificial intelligence.
Yeah, and actually most of the time you find it's not easy to protest against this, because mostly the websites which you visit, when you accept the cookie policies and the terms and conditions, it's normally there.
Yeah, in small font, like buried somewhere.
Yeah.
Like you have to be very attentive to find it in the terms and conditions. But yeah,
it's just like that. They've recently released a text-to-video model.
Right. Yeah. So you type in a prompt and it releases a video. Based on that prompt. That's quite advanced.
The neural networks are getting better and better.
That's quite advanced, because a video is a simulation of the real world. So if you can just type a text and the video is outputted in no time, it's very interesting. Like even with the DeepMind technology, it means now you can find a video of the president online, and in reality it's a DeepMind masquerading to be a deep fake. That's right, a deep fake masquerading to be the president or whoever. And so now with text to video, you can get a video of basically anything you want.
The negative part of it can lead to lots of crime. Like for example, you can imagine in a case whereby like it's a deep fake and you are the parent, and now it's pretending to be your kid, and it's and it's saying like I'm kidnapped to somewhere, send like 10 million, and you having the money you send, and in actuality it's not even your daughter. As in such cases you must, because they can happen, because now the neural networks have gotten better and better at fabricating reality. They can fabricate it very easily.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's why I like hanging out in nature, breathing in that prana, that good as prana.
Life force.
This is now you tapping into your real self. Take a break from technology, get out, raise your vibration. You'll be ready for anything they throw at us. Right. With that being said, would you like to add on anything?
Maybe on the neuroscience aspect, I can add a bit from the book which I had read earlier by Dr. Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Yeah. Great book.
Yeah, how he splits the brain into three major parts. There's the frontal lobe. The frontal lobe is like the CEO of the brain. The frontal lobe it houses parts like the neocortex, and it's mostly the cortex. The cortex there are many, I don't know, there are like 4. Is the OBFC, orbifrontal cortex. There's also I think the perifrontal cortex, I'm not that sure. There's also another one, I've forgotten, but it's associated with laughter. Then there's the midbrain. The midbrain is whereby you have the limbic brain. The limbic brain is responsible for, I think, releasing the neurotransmitters. It houses the hypothalamus, that's like the chemical giant of the brain, and hippocampus. Hippocampus deals with building, mostly aids in the neurogenesis process.
Okay.
Making new neuron cells in the brain. And then there is the hindbrain. The hindbrain is whereby mostly the subconscious part of the brain, the thalamus. So mostly at the back of the head, the lizard part of the brain, the one concerned with the triggers. It's also connected to, amygdala.
Part of it.
The amygdala is the one which is responsible for fear. It's the emotional part of the brain, definitely. So find like there's some certain advertisements designed to bypass the logical part of the brain, touch the amygdala and the hindbrain, so that you can make those buying decisions very quickly.
True. Yeah, and like the book Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, it like changed my perspective from the classical mechanics kind of thinking to quantum mechanics kind of thinking. Because with the classical mechanics, it's about cause and effect. We have to see an effect in our life. We have to have the cause before the effect happens in our life. So for example, before I become happy, let's say I have to get X amount of money. So that money is the cause and the happiness is the effect. And at the subatomic level, the quantum level, reality is very different. There are infinite possibilities. You can have two particles in two opposite ends of the universe, and one, the behavior of one can affect the behavior of another. That's that quantum entanglement. You can have a particle exhibiting two states at the same time with quantum superposition. So it's like reality becomes very flexible at that level. So now with regards to manifestation, you have to change the internal world before the external world changes. So you have to become happy first before you see manifestations around you to like match that happiness that you're seeking. So it's like you're reversing the usual programmed way we've been taught to think.
The quantum field, it was actually, as in, you influence it mostly when you're still, when you're appreciating the moment, you're spiritual to the universe. Now the core of that book, Dr. Joe Dispenza had a great message for all of us. He was saying like how, for example, like your triggers for every day, how every day you're triggered, you should try and question yourself, like where is this coming from, and also accept it. He was explaining mostly from an Anani's perspective. Carl Jung. Carl Jung also gone deeper into the unconscious. And now for Dr. Joe, he's also connected it with the sciences and all. Now he was saying like, you find like you have a certain thought.
Yeah.
The thought influences the emotion. Then the emotion again affects the thought. So it's a continuous cycle. Thoughts and emotion. Thoughts affecting emotion. The emotions affecting thoughts. Thoughts affecting emotions. So it's like mostly when you look at these behaviors. For example, if you're just used to being sad, like when you're being triggered, and you don't ask yourself. So when something triggers you, you're sad. You're sad. You feel like being sad is the only thing which can you feel that, as in that being sad or that hating someone or whatever you're doing, it's relieving you of something. Like for example, these addictions you have toward drugs, whereby if you're injured this way or don't love the way don't love the way people are talking to you, you resort to drugs. So like this drug, they normally chase this neurotransmitter known as dopamine. So every time you continue on that behavior, it requires more of that drugs to release that
same dopamine.
That dopamine for you not to feel relief. While the problem is not really living, it's still within us. We've not consulted deeply with it. So you find mostly people come to it in terms when there is no other option. But when there's still this other option, this other form of addictions in the external world to go to, they'll be going for them instead of diving internally and knowing what's wrong with the issue.
Ashe. Okay. So with that, we can wrap it up for today. Thank you, brother, for coming in on the show. And dropping all those gems for us.
Next time I'll come here and it will be writing some rationality tests on how you can think through situations. I'll come with a simple probability problem. I'll come also with simple logic problems. They're not that simple, but we'll just get through them and explain them. And also I'll come I'll also be teaching more on the cognitive biases and cognitive illusions that affect us on a day-to-day. And also I'll bring a simple focusing problem on how conjunctive fallacy affects our judgment in making forecasting. And also I'll speak now on the banking and finance sector, like how they take advantage of us in doing some risky investments which they themselves cannot do. And how their models fail actually to like predict reality, because reality is another beast in itself. It's a complex adaptive system whereby you find if one factor changes, it affects everything, whereby it can't be accommodated in those models. Like for example, in 2010, there is an instance where I was telling you it was known as the flash crash. Now the flash crash happened at, I think it was May I think. It was like 2 p.m. Now, you ever heard of the Dow Jones Industrial Average? It's an index. It's a price-weighted index, as in it's weighted from the most priciest stocks, the ones which have the stocks which have the most highest price, the lowest price. So there are like 30 stocks there. So there was one of the financial firms which was buying like 200,000 S&P index features, I think. Now it caused a collapse. I don't know how their algorithms were, but it caused an error because there was also in Greece there was they were defaulting on their debt. Now there was an economic jumble in Greek. Now the algorithm just signaled us at market sell. Now there was there was that large sell order, but the algorithm just sold excessively. Because also, you know, done a bit, I know you're a software guy, you know, the recursive loops. Now they are happening like infinitely, such that the market lost like $1 trillion, $1 trillion within a span of 10 seconds. But the market regained back after for some few time. But it was crazy because in that short span, there are some people who kill themselves. In Wall Street it's crazy.
All right. Sawa. We'll touch on that in the next one.
Next time
and more deeper conversations. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Also on human nature. And also more on the neuroscience now of relationships, how from childhood, how you're being raised, the parents.
No worries. We'll get into that for sure. So thank you so much for tapping in.
Thank you.
We appreciate you and see you in the next one. Peace,
fam.